Hello everybody, welcome back to Full Stack Simplified. My name is Prashun and today we'll be talking everything about JavaScript promises. So make sure you stick to this video till the end, and without any further ado, let's get started. To get started, let us understand what a promise is with a very simple example. Let us say I promise you to create one of the most informative video on JavaScript on this channel. Now while you are waiting for this video, my promise is pending, and in the future, if everything goes well, the promise will be fulfilled or resolved. But if due to some of the reasons the video does not show up, the promise will be failed or rejected. So this is something how a promise works in JavaScript. Let us quickly look at the actual syntax to create a promise. Here I will be creating a variable named promise, which will be equals to this new promise object, and this promise object basically accepts a function as its parameter, and we are going to get two variables, namely the resolve and reject, and in here we'll be defining the actual definition of the function inside. So let us say we have a variable named channel name, which is equals to full stack simplified, and we're going to check if this channel name is equals to full stack simplified. Then we are simply going to resolve this promise, and in this resolve method we can basically pass anything, but here let us pass a simple message saying welcome to the channel, and else if the channel name is something else, I'm going to reject the promise, and in this reject method I'm going to simply pass a message of failed. And this is somewhat similar to using callbacks in JavaScript, and later in this video we will be also seeing how we can replace callbacks with promises and make our code look more simpler and cleaner. Now in order to consume this promise, we can simply use this promise variable, and we can call this then method, and if our promise resolves, then we are going to get into this then method, and here we are going to receive this message, and let us simply log it to the console for now. And if the promise fails or it is rejected, then we are going to get into this catch block, and here also we are going to receive an error message, and let us also log this to the console. Now if I save it, we can see that welcome to the channel is getting logged in the console because this promise is getting resolved. Now if I change this condition something like this, now our promise will get rejected and we are going to see this failed message in the console. Now let us see how callbacks works in JavaScript and how we can replace them with the promise. So in here I have created a very simple subscription callback function which accepts two callback. One is the success and another is the error callback, and accordingly if a user is not subscribed or liked, it returns the error callback with a custom message, and if both the variables are true, then it finally returns this success callback. And here we are basically calling the function and passing our callback functions as a parameter. So if I save it, we can see since the is subscribed value is false, we are getting this please subscribe to this channel, and if I change it to true, we are getting this please like this video, and again if I change this to true again, then it says yay, you are awesome. Now speaking of which though, 75% of you watching this video right now is not subscribed to this channel. So if you really enjoy my contents, then a sub to this channel will be outstanding. Now let us implement this using a promise instead of callbacks, because this is what promises were really meant to solve. So in here I'm going to create this subscription callback function using promise. So let us copy this whole function and I'll paste it here, and instead of calling this as subscription callback, I will say subscription promise, and we don't need these callbacks here. So simply remove it, and inside this function I'm going to return a new promise, which again takes a function as its parameter, and we are going to get two variables, the resolve and reject. And inside this function basically we are going to write our logic. So here I pasted the logic, and here wherever we are using this error callback, we need to replace this with reject. And finally we are going to use this resolve method to resolve our promise. Now let us also comment out this piece of code and let us call this subscription promise function. And on this function, we are going to get this then if the promise resolves. In this then block, we are going to have this message which I'm going to log to the console. And if the promise fails, we are going to get into this catch block, which again going to have a message which we can simply log to the console. Now if I save it, you can see everything is working as it was expected. So now if I change this lagged variable to false, we can see that we are getting this particular message. And again, if I change this is subscribed to false, we are getting this particular message logged into our console. And now we are using promises instead of callbacks. And as you can see, the code is a lot cleaner than with using callbacks, because you start nesting callback inside another, creating a messier code structure, also known as callback hell. But here we can simply chain this using .then. So let me simply copy this and we can perform any of the stuff we can do. And instead of nesting them, which makes this code a lot cleaner and manageable. Now as we have an understanding of how promises work in JavaScript, let us also see some of the cool stuffs we can do using promise. So here I have created 3 separate promises which are always resolved because we are only using this resolve method. And now let us say if we want to execute a piece of code only if all the promises are resolved. And here we can use this Promise.all, where we need to pass an array as a parameter containing all these promises. So I'm going to say P1, P2 and P3 into this array, and this Promise.all is going to run all these promises, and once it has been done, it is going to call then or catch depending on if the promises are resolved or rejected. Now this then is going to send us an array of all successful message. So if we call then here we are going to receive array of messages. And let us simply log this to the console. So now if I save this, we are going to get all the messages as an array. Now for a reason, if any one of the promises gets rejected, so let us reject this second promise and let us type rejected here. So we can catch it in this catch block where we are going to get that particular message, which I'm going to log it into the console. So if I save it, we are going to say P2 is rejected. Now we have another piece of function called Promise.race, which is going to return as soon as any one of the promises gets resolved without waiting for others. Since here all the promises take same amount of time to complete, we can see that as soon as this first one is resolved, we get into this then block, and then we are simply getting this P1 success message. So that was all about JavaScript promises. If you really liked the video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. And I'll be back with more content soon. Till then, stay tuned and thanks for watching.